going on, everyone? What's going on?
Hey,
What's up, internet? We're back again.
We are back.
You can't get rid of us. None whatsoever.
You try, but you can't.
Your internet guy.
Definitely can. Definitely. But no, welcome back to the show, everyone. It seems like it's been a little bit of time, but we've taken our our summer hiatus. Yeah, we've taken our summer break and came back fresh after an immense season finale of the Acolyte. Needed some time to get ourselves back together and everything.
Really shake the bits off our shoulder.
Definitely. But today we have a really, if you guys haven't seen the title or if you're listening in your car or whatever, we have a very special show today we're going to get into. But before we discuss the details of the special show, let's let our guy DP let you guys know where to find us at.
Nerdcyclopedia.com, people, your favorite website where you get all our social media ads. We're at Nerdcyclopedia on Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, TikTok, maybe. Okay. All your favorite social media platforms. If you're listening to us on podcasts, we're on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Spotify, Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast. Guess what? We're there. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you. Make sure you smash that subscribe button, hit that notification button so anytime that we're on, you know that we're on. If you're watching us on Facebook, you can watch us right now on at Nerdcyclopedia. So we got straight to our own Facebook page. Check us out on emails too. Drop us a line. Nerdcyclopedia feedback
no charge.
At gmail.com. It is free and it's no charge.
It's free.
You don't have to put no dollars out whatsoever.
Nope.
Not this.
We won't spam.
Not this time. We haven't turned a profit like Disney yet.
It took them a long time, though. To be fair, they've got a little bit of a head start on us. So
it may take us a little longer.
Our day will come. One day we'll just look around our checking accounts. We'll be like, hey, I got 6 figures. Let's do a podcast.
Maybe. Well, that's why I think it's good that we make friends with an artificial intelligence now. Just get in early.
Yeah, get into the AI early.
Lots of positive, references.
Because when they start scanning everyone's retina, we want them to come to us and be like, oh, a sympathizer.
You're good.
Yeah. And
Like what I've said before on this show, do not Google Roko's basilisk. Don't do it. It's not something you want to Google.
Before we get into any craziness and everything, before we actually learn, our friend AI, ChatGPT.
Right.
T-Mitch, do we have any news or anything that we may want to briefly discuss? That any updates since the last time we were on?
Well, that was very interesting.
I'm as surprised as he
is. He just went to the void.
Another Padawan joining the show, it seems like, to Still City and his family.
Oh, yes. That is some news.
Did we lose everybody? I don't know.
I mean, it's so for sure. That's
we have some good news about we have a new Padawan. So the big news is we have a new Padawan on the way. Team. Very happy for the Hitch family.
This Christmas time, 24/January 25. Keep you posted on that when I take my break during Skeleton Crew. But yes, we're all very excited over here to, I know my daughter's been on the show a couple times when she gets impatient.
Daddy.
But yeah, wife and I are super excited. Everything's looking good, and we'll be updating everybody as we get closer to the date with the particulars on that. But looking like we're gonna have another trainee.
Great, awesome! Yeah, congrats.
Congrats.
There's another thing happening in December too, right? On Disney Plus.
We have this Skeleton Crew.
Skeleton Crew. I think that's gonna finally come out.
Yeah. So
one of our final years finally coming to Star Wars.
Right. Yeah, very. I don't know. Just do law stuff. It'll be different. It seems like since we saw Andor, these tales like this have been been a smash hit, so to speak. So, going into this with definitely an open mind, as we did the Acolyte. At least with Skeleton Crew, like I have no expectations, so maybe that'll be something fresh.
Oh, we're starting early.
Hopefully, you could go into an open mind and not come out pissed.
Oh, trust
Angry.
me, there's no lightsaber, so we'll be all right.
You don't know that.
Yeah, we don't know that for sure. Yeah, but yeah.
I think Jude Law's got some genre cred, right? I mean, he was in Gattaca and a bunch of other stuff. So I think
he was an AI, right? Artificial intelligence.
Yes.
So he knows a lot about this subject that we're going to discuss.
Yeah.
We got to break it down. We got to tell everyone what AI is and what it means to them.
I think you're absolutely right. And
or what do they mean to AI?
I don't think anyone wants to. We might be disappointed by the answer to that. But I think you're right, Ken. And we have a couple times already sort of false started on this, or maybe done it right a couple times and messed up a couple times. I've had some issues in when it comes to producing these scripts or stories with ChatGPT. It's harder for me to do by myself when you guys aren't involved in the creative process, just because I have to start making choices. And I think where I was erring was not being more collaborative with the AI in this setting and with you guys. So I shouldn't be acting like the Wizard of Oz behind a curtain and coming out and saying, look at the work we could create. It's much better for us to have a discussion, I think, from the very beginning and explain what these new chatbots do, how they work, how to use them, and what they're able to do without us helping. And then I think it's really going to be interesting to see if we kind of start producing drafts and editing and really working with this chatbot. I think we'll be able to produce some cool stuff that at least will be bizarre and interesting.
It'll be different.
Absolutely. So
I'm excited. I'm ready.
That's what I'm hoping to get out of this. And I've been using these chatbots for fun and games since they came out about a year ago. And I'll just kind of take the floor here, since I'm the one that's kind of spearheading this project for the group. I'm also putting myself on the big screen for some reason. So what is ChatGPT? Well, ChatGPT and some other language bots that you may know from Google has one called Bard. Meta has one. I don't know the name of it because I don't deal with Meta if I can help it.
I think it's Meta AI.
Meta AI, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So these bots, what they do is they're language generation tools, and they if you look at the whole sum of all produced human language, what is the next most likely word or letter? And it kind of produces a response for you based on that generation. What's unique about it is it's not like, if you think about the old NCAA football games, we'd have like Brad Nessler or whatever, and he'd be doing the commentary, and every time you'd roll out to the right, it would sound exactly the same. Roll it out to the right. And then you do it again. Roll it out to the right. And those speech models are interesting because they just have big hunks, and they're looking at the context and saying, okay, what hunk of dialogue belongs there? What these generative bots are doing is looking at the actual script itself, the actual words that you would use, and crafting a response that's the most like what you're telling it to do. So, for instance, I have from time to time, just as a lark, gone into the ChatGPT and said something like, "Hey, I have a question. How do I replicate like Stevie Ray Vaughan sound out of my amp?" I say, "How do I do that with the guitar I have?" And also you need to respond to me as if you're Stevie Ray Vaughan. So it will go through and say, okay, you should use the fretboard pickup, and you should use a little bit of overdrive or a little bit of crunch, and keep on rocking, your pal Stevie. Like, it'll do stuff like that. So you can.
Pretty cool. That's pretty decent.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, right? And the information's been pretty good actually on that particular one. So these are tools that you can use to produce large volumes of text. Now, some applications, I'm in sales, so you can use it to refine emails that you write. Like if you want to use, you want to make it a 6th grade reading level, which is what a newspaper is, you can do that. You can say make it 50% longer, make it shorter, make it, lean this direction, write it with a Southern accent. You can do a lot of really crazy stuff. And over time, what I've found is if you shrink down the piece that you're asking it to do, and then you personally lay it out like a mosaic almost, you can create some pretty big projects. Novels, stories, scripts, whatever. And it also does all the formatting that you want and a lot of stuff like that, which is really, really cool.
So it's sort of like sounds like it's like a producer hiring a writer, except the
Right.
writer is the chat, GPT and everything. Some people are like afraid of this technology because is it going to take over writers? Is it going to take people's jobs and stuff? It sounds like to me you're more in like a producer type of form when you're doing stuff like this.
Yeah, when you're doing creative projects like this, that's pretty much what it's like. It's almost like having a writing assistant in the writer's room that writes down all the stuff you
Mhm.
say and puts it into the format you want it in, and then can read it back to you if you want, or can make specific changes like that. So it functions very much in that way if you tell it to. You can also tell it to
So,
do.
so in essence, you're still the creator, but you have an assistant doing, a lot of the heavy
Right.
lifting for you.
Yeah, one of the really, annoying parts about writing is formatting for me. And like if I'm writing fiction and I have a quote, I really detest putting quotation marks in,
Quotations, yeah.
setting up the grammar. And I always feel really unsure about where the commas go and the periods go with a quotation mark. So sorry to the Lindsley School English department on that. It's nice try, but I didn't quite take. So yeah, and these chatbots, you can make them do a lot of different cool stuff, which I really, really like. And I will write silly stories. Like I had it write a prospective movie script that was just a bunch of stupid scenes put together where my friend Dan turned into a dinosaur, and I had to explain to everybody why he was a dinosaur and stuff like that. So just goofy little things like that you can do, which are fun. And there's a lot of other stuff you can do. It can do computer programming languages. It can translate. It can translate different languages. So if you have a German or a French section you want to translate out, you can paste it in and it will translate it for you. Some of the biggest things that are different now that I've noticed since they have released the newest ChatGPT, which is like 4.0 is what it's called, is it can do it can remember stuff, and you can actually list out the things you want it to remember. So if you wanted to say hey, act like Darth Vader, it would remember to do that. You could delete that, or it stops doing that. And you can choose those things now. And the other real big thing that's pretty recent and was in the news is this voice capability where you can talk to ChatGPT and it can actually talk back. Now, in my opinion, this sounds a little bit like Jesse Eisenberg, but I don't know what they're using. But you can pretty much have a conversation with this thing. And I think when we talk about what are people scared of, they're scared of that lack of you can't tell anymore if what you're looking at was produced by a human or not, or if you're talking to a human or not. It's not intrinsically obvious from the output of the text. That's causing all sorts of problems when it comes to education and kids wanting to cheat on their essays. And it's been interesting. This has been a long time coming, and there's a technological term for this. It's called the Turing test, if anyone's ever heard of that, where Alan Turing said that eventually this would happen, where computers would be so good at producing a human-like response that you would lose the ability to parse between a human response and a computer response.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what people are afraid of. They're afraid of losing insight into the genuineness of the output. And there's a couple really interesting kind of, I don't know, philosophical theories about that. One is called dead internet theory, which posits that over time, more and more of the internet content that we see will be sourced from AI. And because of that, we'll reach a tipping point where the AIs are really just talking to each other. And for people, it's going to be a lot harder to know if the information you're getting from the internet is accurate or not. We rely right now on sources like Wikipedia, like Google, But these artificial intelligences would be able to intersituate themselves between us and those websites, put up a very believable facsimile we wouldn't be able to tell the difference of, and sort of hijack that traffic to tell us things that are insane.
So we have to find out where we fit in, because that's the problem. What we have is a brave new world, and we need to find our spot, because if we don't find our spot in this, we're going to be written out completely.
At least online, you can still have the ability to go outside and still do things, The kids are still going to be born,
Mostly. Well, we don't really know.
Well, we're hoping. In my house, we're hoping.
Maybe you've got the last one. After this,
well, the way
there's no more.
Already going to be choosing between a tax break and the first baby at 25. So we'll see how that goes. I'll take the tax break. But what's really interesting is that we can utilize these things to do the tedious types of mental tasks that before you really couldn't do. It's almost like the calculator for words, which is wild. I remember when I was in school and spell check came out, teachers would be like, don't rely on that, because eventually, might not always be around.
Yeah, it'll screw up.
Yeah, but now, like ChatGPT, if you just like if I'm typing out an email and I want to check and see if I spelled everything right, you know what I mean? I can just run it through there. It'll do syntax automatically. It's really, really a great tool. And for anybody that isn't using this, especially if you have to write a bunch of personalized outreach like I do in my job, it's a really great tool, even if you're only using it as an instructive tool. So if you write out an email and say, make this target this for a 10th grade reading level, it'll tell you what that should look like, and then you can get closer to hitting that target. Anyway, I'm a super nerd about this, which is why we call the podcast Nerd Cyclopedia. That's really the reason. And I'm excited to sort of start from scratch with you guys using the chatbot and setting up the parameters to see if we can't get it to produce a story that seems quality enough to be broadcast or published or whatever. I really think that would be a fun project, and that's how I conceive of this, right? Is we'll start from what the chatbot just puts out. If we just say, hey, here's 5 parameters, it's a Star Wars story, it should be a new character. I think I told it to, you can use other Star Wars characters if you want, and just sort of said, what are you going to put out? And I'm sure, DP, I'm sure we can post this benchmark on our website.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. For everyone to read. It's either going to be some top-notch stuff, or we're going to get some backlash, just like the creators on Disney Plus.
Right. Here's the other thing that I found, right, is it depersonalizes this. So, like, if I wrote like a short story about, I don't know, some traumatic moment in my life, and I showed it to you guys, and T. Mitch lit into it because I told it out of chronological order or some, I make all the time, I'd probably be butthurt about it. I'd be real sad.
Right.
But with the chatbot, I'd just be like, it's a chatbot. Yeah, I messed it up. We'll just fix it. Just go in there and fix it. So I found that actually helps a lot when it comes to being too precious. Anyway, so go to nerdcyclopedia.com and check that story out. And did you guys? I sent it out to the chat. Did anybody get a chance to read it at all?
I was reading through it.
Yeah, I read it.
So what did you guys? So let me ask you, just point blank. What did you guys think about this thing? Because I read it myself, and I really didn't tell it anything other than what like the format of the story I wanted, the length of the story, and then just a few things to make sure that it fit into the Star Wars genre.
It's as long as you can go in and tweak a few things, because timeline wise it didn't make sense, but the story, the flow, the story, the character, I actually loved it. I loved the overall flow of the story from beginning to end. It seemed to had that intro. It introduced the characters. It gave you a little bit of backstory without needing an entire episode for a backstory. It told you enough, it allowed you to move on with it. The special effects were bar none, like just fabulous, because they were all in my head. But the action, the soundtrack was just turned. I mean, it was on point. And I liked where it ended. I liked that sort of openness feel, but chronologically, like it was a little like Obi-Wan Kenobi was supposed to be this old man, but after 5 years after Order 66, Obi-Wan was still like not old. So there'd be some tweaks you'd have to do just for me, but other than that, I liked it.
No, I definitely echo that. I mean, I like the idea. It was funny when I saw the name Malagus on there. I was like, oh, so we have some like ancient Old Republic Sith, and like
really
current, yeah. Like the timing is a little off, but no, I think it's a great tool, like you're saying, to like give you not even an outline, but almost like a good first draft, right? So then leading into something we can tweak, like it almost cuts out like I would know. I mean, if you're a producer, or maybe DP can talk more about this, it kind of cuts out that first drafting phase almost, to where like it kills all that, and it kind of gives you a direct outline to where you go in, and then you kind of tweak it with with maybe the room reader. So instead of having the chalkboard up or the dry erase board and you drafting and coming up with ideas, it skips all those steps and really gets you to a nice outline to really. And there's a lot of bones, a lot of meat on the bones. I think it's just more to that tweaking phase you're saying that can really speed up things, and hopefully this is something that writers will take on board and maybe allow them to make things quicker, right? Because I think our biggest problem is production time. Even after the writer's strike, it to me, where we are technologically outside of the Star Wars show, I personally still think it takes too long to produce a movie. Like it takes almost longer, I think, than it did in the '80s to produce a movie. And granted, it's a more bigger scale, but I just feel like with things like this and technology, it shouldn't take this time, these timelines to get movies done. That's just my opinion. And even comic books and things like that. I just hope this is a tool to speed up production rather than kill jobs or cut things. I just hope it's a tool to maybe speed it up and create more.
That's the key thing right there. Tools, a writer, a creator just can just see this as like another pencil to use, another,
Right.
pen to use, another brush to use to sort of what I want to say here, enhance the ideas that they already have in their head, put it and have it done a lot quicker, versus like, people complain about like, pads and stuff, digital pads having to do, all the extra work or the work and everything versus what somebody did before, computers and all that stuff done, with art done on canvases and all that. It's an elevate, it's a progression as far as like, technology. And the key thing you said there is a tool, not as a way to replace, but just as a tool to sort of enhance the whole creative experience.
So that's an interesting point, DP. So the tool itself, we have to make sure that the tool doesn't get too powerful. So you have to still be able to do the job without the tool, although the tool helps. So the problem I see is when this AI, let's say this Chat GPT AI becomes heightened enough that it can speak to other AIs, like banking AIs, and they start conversing.
Already happened.
Without us. Okay, so I know that. So think about that. This Chat AI that tells stories and can create characters and can create backgrounds and everything now is speaking to financial AIs, and that can create a lot of like new people, like new personalities, new AIs, and so that's the problem. That's what's scary about all this. But if we keep it as a tool and use it just to enhance what we're already doing, I think we can keep it in check, but it's still pretty scary.
Well, I have a saying at work that I say a lot, which is sometimes I feel like I'm using this tool as a hammer, and the only thing I know how to do is hammer stuff. So I like if I had an iPhone, technically that's a hammer, but I'm not using it the right way. And even what we're doing here, which is just to try and produce, something that's good on the other side with text is out of date as far as the cutting edge. I mean, we can put this information into this chatbot, and we can have it generate full on pictures, full on video, and that is getting better at a rate that is, frankly, it's breathtaking. It's like the Beatles in 1965. You know what I mean? Like at the end of it, it's very different, and it's way better. I mean, this is something you can just Google, but those generative intelligences, I think the main fear is something like, we right now are on our podcast and we're creating that, and there are, just check the channel, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of this show. I mean, how much at a certain point a chatbot like GPT or some other program is going to be able to take those hours of video and audio and digest them, and would probably be able to reproduce this in a very realistic and believable thing. And we don't really.
And it would predict what our next show would be based on the shows that we did before.
Yeah, it could produce like, what is the Carbonite Bounty BS like? Like probably the first thing it would be able to do is like an SNL parody of us, right? Where it's the broad strokes and the right, like, like some of the crap behind us and all that other stuff, right? Like it would get those sort of other things of the way we talk to each other, and the fact
that we got nothing to worry about. It that's the best they can do. We got nothing to worry about. We're good.
At the time, that each iteration gets better and better and better, and all of this technology is still very new. It's newer than the pandemic, which feels like an incredible thing to say. I think it came out in January of 23 is when I first started playing around with it. So the thing is, like by 2030, if you extrapolate the growth of the abilities of this thing, it's going to be, to your point, T. Mitch. I mean, if you look at the end of this technology as a real endpoint in 25 years, what it's going to be able to do is make these Star Wars shows for you that are for you. They're not for publication. They're not for from Disney.
T. Mitch will never be mad again because he will get the exact story.
Well, because he'll be able to do stuff like this, like when they start walking around in the woods, he'll be able to be like, "Hey, enough of that."
The question is, will it be as fun? Will it be as entertaining? Will it be as enjoyable? If you get everything that you want,
it'll make it enjoyable.
I think it will be too, because we like interactive videos. Pretty much what a video game is. Like Red Dead Redemption or GTA 5. That's pretty much what that is. So, I could see that sort of immersion being very popular. I think Ready Player One, which was a major motion picture, talked about this a lot because they had the Oasis in that book it has haptic feedback so you can touch it, but it also has that quality where it's like, go inside Monty Python and the Holy Grail, right? And act out the different scenes as like a plot point. The guy has to do that. And that's one thing by the way, I would be really good at that because I've seen that movie a bunch of times. But that's kind of what it would do, is it would act as if it was placing you inside the movie itself, right? And just generating everything around you. So like Home Alone, right? Could walk around the McAllister's house and look at the traps and all that other sort of stuff, and also experience it as if you were, Joe Pesci and Marv, right? You can experience it like all that stuff is pretty much, it's not a question of can it be done. It's a question of how do we engineer it so that it is successful. And these intelligences are, these programs are able to replicate the amount of work that a person can do in a very quick fashion. And it doesn't have the sort of creativity that we do. And you do have to go in and remind it sometimes, like, hey, Luke and Leia aren't married. You have to tell it a few things like that. that a person would mess up.
And so if you tell it why, like that's a good point, because that's something that's in the like the Neververse. Like that's a storyline where what if they weren't related? What if they never met? What if they never knew the other one existed? But it's interesting point. So the AI, the chat thinks that Luke and Leia are married, but you tell it they're not. But can you explain to it why? And will it understand why?
Yeah. For instance, if I'm looking at let me see if I can find. This is a new feature, so I'm still kind of understanding it myself.
It understands what interfamily relationships are.
Well, it can remember things. So like I can tell it, remember, like I can say, hey, remember you're George Lucas. Like you're writing as George Lucas. Let me go to the management.
I think there's some days I think I'm George Lucas. Yes.
So here are the memories that I've told it to hold in its head and remember. We're using this chatbot, this iteration of chat to can we write a better Star Wars script than the Acolyte? We're going to try to interview the chatbot as we go along through this process. I don't know what that was. As we refine, what we're looking for from the story. When do we want it set? What do we want the characters to do? Do we want there to be a soundtrack? Like, what's the vibe? That sort of stuff. We're going to use ChatGPT as a writing assistant and as a co-author. And I asked it to remember the story that it wrote. So if we wanted to come and edit the story that we're going to post again at nerdcyclopedia.com, we can do that. And I also introduced it to the four of us, so we can actually provide it with personalized feedback from each of us. So I could say, Steel City Hitch wants you to do this, Ken wants you to do that. Team Hitch had an idea, and it will keep track of all that too. That's a new feature that kind of was not aware of.
So there's a difference between what we said, that the chat is a writing assistant. Writing assistants, how well do they take criticism? So does this chat AI take constructive criticism properly? Like, will it take the criticism and evolve, or will it get offended and argue with you?
It might argue with you if you tell it to be argumentative, but if you don't, it'll do whatever you say. So the way that you interact with this is a great segue. The way that you interact with one of these chatbots is called a prompt. And a prompt essentially is defined as what you tell it or what input you feed to it. So a good example of a prompt would be something like, hey, assume the persona of an expert and for me, I did this, in guitar. That expert is Stevie Ray Vaughan. When I ask you a question, please respond only as if you're Stevie Ray Vaughan and tell me all of the information I need to know about how to play this music, right? So you define for the chatbot what parameters you want it to use. And as a result, you control how it interacts with you. So you could tell it, hey, you're Darth Vader. Everything you say should sound like James Earl Jones saying it through the Darth Vader system, and it'll do that. Really, really nifty. So yeah, if you want it to be a writing assistant that just fixes everything and reproduces it and shows you the draft and all that, it will just do that.
Because he did sell his rights and everything, didn't he? For his voice. Yeah. Okay.
Well, you can use it. It doesn't do the voice, but it says it like it's the character. So,
okay.
I mean, we could hook it up to the James Earl Jones vocal AI if we wanted to do that, but we don't have to. It'll still speak with the words that would be used by Darth Vader.
Gotcha.
But all those things, those plugins that you're talking about, it's not a huge leap to see that being possible, which is why I think during the strikes that we had last year, there was so much being made of using AI to generate that new content using the likeness of a person. So, think about a long dead celebrity like James Dean, right? I could make a Domino's pizza commercial with James Dean in it, where he's telling you to get Domino's pizza. I could use the Three Stooges to sell, I don't know, watches or cars or whatever.
Right.
I could colorize old footage. I could tell it, hey, produce this, but produce it in color. I think that's that's kind of what Peter Jackson did when he made the Get Back movie with the Beatles. So we've seen a lot of this stuff already start, and really where we are, what we're talking about are different things that should be available as the capabilities get better. And my knowledge of what these bots can do is limited. It could already be possible, and I'm just ignorant to the how, right? The engineering piece of how to make that work. That is a newer concept, but basically, these bots are universal translators. So I don't need to know how to code the program to program it. It will convert the basic language that I use into its own code and essentially program itself based on my input. It's pretty crazy. And I know this might be tedious, but I felt like this would be a good thing to do for us, is to just start way from the outside and kind of come in sequentially and really start from a good understanding of how these things operate. It is really neat, and I did not like, again, just controlling that part of it. It didn't feel collaborative to me, and it was hard for me to feel responsible for the whole thing, especially when the output wouldn't always work right. So when we were doing the twin destinies story, sometimes I would have to go in and put too much in between the outputs that I would get from the chatbot, and it was getting frustrating, frankly. So I wanted to just start from scratch, build a baseline, so we understand, like, hey, this is what it's actually capable of, and just kind of move from there as we decide first, hey, what kind of story do we want to tell? What sort of setting do we want to use? What sort of characters do we want to contain? And then see what we can make the chatbot generate for us based on the parameters we discussed.
Is it a website? Is it something you download? Is it in the cloud, where if you're working on it and I want to manipulate it, I can just go somewhere and do that?
Sure. So at openai.com is where all this stuff is, which is basically where the ChatGPT lives. You can create an account just through your Google account if you want. I'm pretty sure we can share. I can always take your inputs and put them into the chatbot, which is pretty simple to do. And like I said, the chatbot's aware that there's 4 of us. So as long as we tell, hey, as long as you say, hey, this is Ken, I want you to, and then write it out, it'll be able to tell what things you've told it to do versus me. And of course, we could all create our own chatbots that are capable of editing a singular document that we keep on G Drive, because now ChatGPT can use Google Docs and edit them and read them, which is, again, a newer capability that I'm still becoming familiar with. So there's a lot of ways to skin the cat, basically. And
so you actually have, like, you have the I guess the program up, and it knows all 4 of us right now.
Yeah.
Okay. What does it know about us? What did you tell it, Steel City?
Are you going to try to share it, Steel City?
Yeah, let me try to do some here.
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, like,
he's got an earpiece.
We're going to talk about it for like
Bluetooth connected to the chat. It said, "Do not expose us, Steel City. Do not expose our secrets."
So this is a little clunky. Hold on, let's see. Hey, ChatGPT, you want to say hi to everybody?
Sure. Here we go. Hello, T. Mitch, DP Brown, Ken, and Steel City Hitch. I'm ChatGPT, your collaborative AI writing assistant. I'm here to help you craft an engaging Star Wars story for your podcast feature, answering the question, can ChatGPT write a better Star Wars script than The Acolyte? Together, we'll bring this story to life, and I'm excited to work with you all as both a writing assistant and a co-author. Let's dive into the galaxy far, far away and create something amazing.
Whoa.
I'm not gonna lie, that's just pretty creepy. I'm not gonna lie. That's just pretty fucking creepy.
Oh boy. I think our ratings just, like, Either they doubled or they got cut in half. I don't know.
Yeah, everybody said, "Fuck this show, I'm out of here."
So-
It was crazy.
Like, we can do
These
this a
guys
lot.
are talking to themselves now.
Now, I still have to buy the actual product. You can use it for free, and you get a certain number of those inputs and responses in an X amount of time, and then it's kind of downgrades to a worse version. It pops up and it says, "Oh, you in 5 hours you get more."
It downgrades to worse than that.
Yeah. It nerfs itself to convince you that you should buy the thing. It's only $20 a month, so I'll get it. I'll get the real version here for the next week.
20 a month? Oh my god!
Yeah, so it's a little bit more than Disney Plus, but that gives you access to a lot of cool.
Actually, it's the same now without ads and the
Yeah, it's about the same cost as Disney Plus.
Yeah,
There,
$19.99 with Disney Plus and Hulu, no ads.
does that mean something? Does Disney somehow own this too?
No, this is worth so much money, and Disney doesn't own it. Microsoft actually has a huge piece of it, but every technology company is essentially having to either reproduce this or interface with it, which is really, really neat. So really, really cool stuff. But that's, my thinking is that we would effectively, create the input we want, tell it all the stuff we want, see what we can get it to produce. And then if we need to do questions and responses, we can do like just that. Have it.
So as we're telling it what to do, we see it like on screen and it just spits out like different portions of the story and everything.
Yeah, so sometimes the text, maybe looking at the text might be better than having it read to us, but other times we might want to be conversational with it. And as long as I, hit that say it button.
Is there any way that you could share the screen right now? Because I'm like highly curious.
Sure. Let me try this real quick.
I'm seeing Max Headroom. Do you guys remember him from the?
Back in the 80s.
Yeah. Do you remember? That's what I see.
He used to stutter all the time.
Yeah. Well, that was because he was imperfect.
Okay.
But I think what's this guy's name? Ronald.
There you go. So this is what it looks like when you're interfacing with it on the chat screen.
Okay.
And I have a bunch of these over here that are just like, random things I've done. This stores the history of your chats. If you click new chat, it starts over from total scratch. Just pulls up a new one, but it'll keep a record of your different threads where you just have it do different things, right? Really, really nifty. And then this down here at the bottom would be where you type whatever you want it to do. And then you just type it spits out the response, right? So this is what I typed in. Like, hey buddy, can you introduce yourself to the team? This is what it produced. It should read.
Okay.
So it said it thought about that shit on its own. That's crazy.
I mean, this is what's neat. And another thing I wanted to kind of show you guys is what I'm.
It's over now. It's like we might as well sit back and relax because
I asked it to remember this story, and this is the prompt I put in. I know it's a little small, but I kind of just spoke to it very conversationally, and then this is what it spit out: the story.
So you gave it that little paragraph of sort of parameters, and it just. How long did that take? How long did it take to give you the 5 page? How many pages? 5 pages.
It does it in real time, pretty much. Like so. Hold on.
Can you voice part it? Can you have it say part of the story?
Sure. Hold on a second. Hey, I'm going to tell it to. I tell it to reproduce a story as if it's a storyteller, and then it'll produce. And then you kind of have to wait for it to say it, right? For it to generate the whole response on desktop. On iPhone, you can it's really very conversational. So you can actually speak the inputs right into your phone and then have it say it out. But this is what the interface looks like on the web. And then you can click the button and have it read it. So longer responses, obviously, like this would be one where I'd say, hey, probably not having it read it wouldn't be the best, because it takes a minute to produce. But once it's done, you can just kind of
Yeah,
learn from
I want
That would be a cool. You know what this would do? I think it would be good for people who like audiobooks. I mean, if we were to do this, so for a plane ride, we come
Yeah.
up with a story. That'd be nice to listen to on a plane ride. You're just listen to your story over again. It kind of it's like proofreading it via your ears rather than just by looking
Yeah.
at print on that might even be better. For people to proofread via their ears rather than directly just on paper, right? Because
Yeah.
you might write something and it might mean completely different when it's heard.
Here, you guys see down here where there's this little clip.
Yeah.
I could pull up if I had. So I've taken this story and put it in a G drive, and that's what I shared with you guys. Is a doc. I could ask it to read that document back to us, and I could have whatever text I wanted in there. So if I could get like what's in the public, like the Count of Monte Cristo is in the public domain, right? I can go get the text of that, put it in a G drive, and exactly like you're saying, and say, "Can you read this file to me?" And it will do it.
Can you have it read a paragraph or two?
Yeah. Oh, hold on, I failed to play. Yeah, here we go. It's long, so it might take a minute it'll just start all of a sudden. I did this. I know this works because I did it last night. So it'll happen. I promise.
Yeah, our audience is waiting with bated breath.
Right.
This is probably going to be one of our most popular.
This is really
I think
popular videos.
Doubled or
by taking these, it's too long. By taking these responses, hold on, I had it read. Let's see if I can get it to read this one. By taking these responses and putting them into the document, and then starting from the document and going back into the chatbot, I think we'll be able to like hone it down until it's right.
Right.
It's like a memory thing. Come on, guys.
That's why we got to get more subscribers so we can upgrade Hitch's PC. Like
Laura watched from her hiding, her heart pounding. She longed to join the fight, but knew she had to trust Kenobi's judgment. The Inquisitor's attacks were relentless, but Kenobi's experience and mastery of the Force gave him the upper hand. With a decisive strike, he disarmed the Inquisitor, sending his lightsaber clattering to the ground. "Leave now, and you may yet live," Kenobi warned. The Inquisitor, realizing his defeat, fled into the desert night.
That's just a piece, but that's that happened.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy with the inflection and the way
tonality
he's just like the tonality and everything. It's just not straight.
He reads it better than I would read it, like as an orator.
Like the old when you were taking a test and the narrator would give you instructions. Press spacebar to continue. It definitely sounds like a dude, like some guy, and he's talking to you. It's Melvin. He's on the payroll and he's doing what you ask.
So we've all worked. I mean, we've all done.
I was going to say, is Morgan Freeman's voice on the air for free?
I honestly don't know. I mean, I don't know what's available even because you could just have some guy doing an impression and probably sound good, but you don't need Morgan Freeman. You just need his voice in the dialogue.
Right.
If he's ever done a which I just have to believe he has, the minute you have all the words you need, and that's what I think is scary to performers is that they don't have control over it.
Of course, yeah.
He's done what books? He's done voiceover for Nat Geo Wild, which is owned by Disney. So
they have all this. This could all be done whenever, and it's it doesn't take a lot. Like I'm not some genius at this. Like I said, I feel like I'm using it like a hammer. Like I'm sure there's more elegant ways to do this, but I think we'll be able to produce some pretty awesome content
sweet
with this thing. It's really nifty. And this is way more fun for me talking to you guys about it and getting you involved at this level than talking to you for 45 minutes about the plot we want to do and then just going off by myself behind the curtain and kind of coming out and being like, oh, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, in like the next few weeks, we can start spitting things into it and start forming a story. We'll probably get some backlash, and we'll probably get some people that actually like what we put into it,
Full disclosure for everybody out there: this is not an official Star Wars tale. This is fan fiction. We are not making any money on this story. So,
no,
before we get any letters, any cease and
this
desist on our
does
channel,
not.
this is completely. This is free for
Fanfic.
people to view. Fan fiction is completely free. There's no charge, no subscription fee. It's on the internet. It's fan fiction. So
And anybody can do it, including you.
Well, our stories are going to be, we're not going to use. I don't think we should use characters that exist. I think we should use original characters just for the purpose of not being sued by the mouse for that, because we don't want them thinking we're doing anything untoward. And I asked ChatGPT if it's ready to help us, and this is what it said.
Absolutely, I'm ready to help out. Criticism is a valuable part of the creative process, and I'm here to learn and improve alongside you and your team. Let's dive in and make this Star Wars story the best it can be together.
So I'm going to ask it what it thinks we should call it.
Ken is highly amused.
Oh yeah, sign me up.
Name would you like for us to use for you? And like you see, the syntax doesn't matter. I didn't, I'm not doing anything crazy. So let's ask what it wants me to call it.
You can call me Starscript. It captures the essence of both Star Wars and my role in helping you craft the script. How does that sound?
What do we think?
Starscript?
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
Good? SC for short. Or SS. SS. Wait a minute.
Ooh.
SX.
SS.
SS. I'll call him SS. That's fine. Stassi brown shirts. Just bring them on.
The brown shirts with the Oh, it updated the memory, so it's going to remember that. You guys ever play one of those Telltale games where you choose a text response and it goes like, he's going to remember that. That's what the ChatGPT just did to us.
Oregon Trail.
Perfectly. I'm ready to assist you and the team. Let's get started.
There you have it. SC, Starscript, whatever. So it's set up and ready to go. So this, I feel like we kind of got where I was wanting to get at the end of this one, which is this is what the chatbot's going to be capable of, so we all understand what we're asking of it, getting it sort of configured, finding out what its baseline is, like what is it capable of doing, and then having a few, questions and answers, or a few other things. And if any of you have questions for Starscript, SC, our friend here from OpenAI, this is where you can send them. nerdcyclopediafeedback@gmail.com. It is free to send us an email. It is free for us to ask this guy some questions. But I'm going to upgrade just so we don't run out of tokens with the good chatbot, so we can just say whatever we want. It'll flow and be more conversational, and I won't have to be nervous that we're going to get downgraded in the middle of something important.
Yeah. I'll give you 5. I'll give you 5 towards that, man.
Yeah,
that'll be fun. It should be fun.
So we're gonna have a good time with this. I'm actually pretty excited. This is one of the things that I'm interested in learning a lot more about, and I think I'll probably get a lot better at doing this. I think we'll all probably get better at writing, and hopefully, maybe this will improve our criticism when we get to skeleton crew, or when we decide to do our, maybe we do some rewatches in the next couple months. Because look, what we got. We got basically
until December now. Yeah, we're completely open. So we have the next 3 months, 3.5 months.
I think this is going to be really fun. I'm going to research how to use the G Drive feature, the Docs feature, and see if that allows us to do some edits as we go forward. But I think what we should do next week is have a discussion and include the chatbot in the discussion about the story we want to tell. Characters we want to use, create some characters, look at settings, talk about time frames, make those decisions. And then, hey, at the end, we can see what it spits out, see if we can get it to put a story together, and we can post that on the website, and then we can start from there. I think, John Schwartzwalder, who's written maybe all the best Simpson episodes, said it's a whole lot easier to do rewrites of something that's crappy than it is to generate something. So even if the dialogue's flat, we need to go in and fix things. we'll be able to do
Hey,
that.
that's the life of a writer. Trying to come up with an idea and a good idea at that. Is way harder than taking something that's already established out there and then just fashion it, all together, which is really essentially what we're doing right here.
So I'll send. We don't need to see the window anymore. So and that's what's weird is now like I can type the information into the chatbot that we want to tell it what we want the parameters to be, or what question we want it to answer, or what input we want from it, and it will just say it right on the podcast without us having to do anything else. So it's almost like it's in the room with us and ready to contribute as if it's a fifth member of the team, which pretty.
He can't wait to collaborate too. Sounds like he's ready. So
he's ready to.
Eager and ready to go, and he knows exactly what's going to happen next.
And what's neat is we can also, if we need to tweak the personality of the chatbot, easy to do. We want to
take him down a couple notches. He's too peppy.
20% less willing to help me.
20% less willing to help. Everyone wants to have to negotiate with their, a fellow employee, team member, negotiate with them. That's how you get better results. You don't want someone who's just like, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, that's fine. You want someone that's a little resistant.
So if we say SC to the thing, it'll remember. It's really awesome. I'm very excited to try this out. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
How many people are doing this? This sort of thing feels like,
and we're live, so it was a great introduction to for those who haven't been introduced to this type of technology and everything. So thank you, appreciate you, Steel City.
For sure, no, for sure.
I feel like if we all come ready next week with a few things we want to see in the story, maybe a character we want to just kind of sketch out, I think that could be really, really helpful and give us a really good starting spot to talk about how we want this thing to look and what we want it to do.
Cool.
Oh, that's great, man. This has been a great discovery episode, everybody. So, unfortunately, for those who are listening to us, I hope you guys get some time to be able to go back and watch the stream and actually see some of the things we went over, because this is really impressive, and this is really something I feel that can take our channel to another level and allow you guys to interact. Because as we said, we have our email feedback inbox. If you guys have story ideas, if you have character ideas, this is things we can all collaborate as a channel, as a community, right? Because we want to build a community and not only just have us do it, but everybody be involved. So please, nerdcyclopediafeedback@gmail.com. Send us some ideas. We might get some new Wookiees. We might get,
all you Wookiees out there, please. We need you.
Please, yes. Please.
We're Wookiee short.
We're short. We might get a new Gungan. Who knows?
No, we won't. I'll filter those out. Don't worry about that.
You're gonna filter out all the Gungan.
Now we're.
It's my what that is. It's against the Gungans. It's true.
Yeah. So, no, guys, it's been a great show, a great start to almost like a new season for us. After our break. So, what way to come back and start this off with a new Star Wars story. We got a lot of feedback and a lot of views on our previous story. So, really the foundation for our new story and coming up the next week here, we'll start really diving in, creating our characters. We're not going to use really any legacy characters, any expanded universe characters. This is really stuff from the top. So, you guys will be along the journey with us, watching us build this out, and then we'll be able to deliver a full story and do a read along, like in between this and some rewatch along. So excited for everybody to be along. Thanks, Hitch, for getting this going for us. And next week, guys, let's get this ball rolling and get going.
Get it going.
So thanks, everybody, and until next week, this is the way.
This is the way.